You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. Giving you just a little bit to hold on to here. It's a Football Friday. And by the way, this is one of the toughest weeks to talk about football. Like this whole season. You know why? Tennessee off. Georgia off. Florida off. I mean, those are all the teams to talk about. And I'm trying my best not to beat the Texas A&M and Alabama matchup to death. That's obviously the matchup of the week. And Vegas has done something that is incredible. But let me talk to you about where you can find us online before I jump into any and all of that. This is Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Stream all of our local shows on YouTube live with video, or stream all of our shows, period, on our Facebook page and on our fabulous website, Noogaradio.com. That's Nooga radio.com. Also, make sure to check us out in the TuneIn Radio app. That is Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio in the TuneIn Radio app. Simply search Hot News Talk Radio in the app, which you can find in whatever app store you decide to use. Simply search Hot News Talk Radio in the app, give us a favorite, and press play. You'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. That's Hot News Talk Radio and the TuneIn Radio app. Listen like you mean it. Vegas has done something very interesting with this Texas A&M and Alabama game because people are acting like Alabama doesn't have any weaknesses whatsoever. And I find that to be hilarious and just laughable. This is an exploitable team. To be clear, you have to be, damn near perfect to exploit them. I'm not saying it's an easily exploitable team, but this isn't Nick Saban's most well-rounded team ever. It might be his best team ever. In fact, you would have to actually argue harder against that. It is his best team ever, okay? But not because it's the most well-rounded team ever. You could argue that last year's team was a more well-rounded team. This team is more explosive. It's his most explosive team ever. He's got playmakers on both sides of the ball everywhere. The defense scores every game. They're on a 10-game scoring streak? The defense. Alabama's defense is a tough defense, okay? But this is a team that you can beat. So, was looking at the lines earlier for the game, which is not something I do, but I was very curious about this one. And man, Vegas is just straight up disrespectful. Texas A&M is giving up 18 points to Alabama. Alabama minus 18. Which to me, and I don't gamble, but if I did, that's not going down that way. Texas A&M is the team designed to give Alabama the most trouble. I'm not saying it's a guaranteed victory. I'm not saying that Alabama's going to lose. In all likelihood, they will not. I'm saying of all the teams on Alabama's schedule so far, Texas A&M is the team designed to give them the most trouble. Auburn poses some threat to Alabama because foolishness and hilarity always seems to ensue around the Iron Bowl, and I don't know why that is. Maybe I haven't watched the Iron Bowl long enough. It just seems like something silly tends to go down with Auburn and Alabama. But regardless, right? Here's the thing about Bama. Because people are acting like they're this iron wall, this defense that cannot be scored on. They can be scored on, right? We saw what Arkansas did. And Arkansas's got close games. They got ups. They've got downs. They got beaten like a drum by Alabama. But it wasn't for the lack of points. Right? Like Alabama beats you because Alabama's defense can score and their special teams can score. And they get these home run plays that they don't really have to struggle for. It's well earned. Like they're a well-coached set of units, the special teams and defense, but they don't have anything that they honestly have to struggle for. So they look impossible to beat. But Alabama's secondary has been roasted, and that's one of these things that has not really come up. That there are games where that secondary has just been lit on fire. So Austin Allen and Arkansas, they're going for 400 yards of offense. Austin Allen is throwing the ball all over the yard, wherever he wants to. But you know why? Because that team's got a great running base. It's got a very, very good running base. And what you're able to do off of play action, off of misdirection, is make Alabama's defense, especially that secondary, because really when we're talking about the defensive line, like Alabama, like that is impenetrable. That actually is impenetrable. But when we're talking about their defense as a whole, the secondary can very much be exploited. And if you are a team that runs the football well, as Arkansas has done the entire time Brett Bielema has been there, then you've got to think that Texas A&M stands a chance too, because they've got a very good running base. Right? Williams is a very good back. Knight's a very good quarterback with his legs. He's got some wheels. And by the way, Trevor Knight, the only guy that I know that went up against Alabama and lived to tell the story. His best game ever is against Nick Saban. And if he does beat Alabama this Saturday, he'll be the only guy to have beaten Nick Saban twice. So you don't do that. Right? Trevor Knight's different. We're 3 years removed from when he beat Alabama as a freshman. And he's got some things going for him that Josh Dobbs didn't have to take advantage of the secondary. One is the strong arm. Yeah, I feel like I have walked back my comments on Josh Dobbs and his arm strength. I don't think he's got a noodle arm. All right? I recant that. I take it back. But when you talk about the ease at which Trevor Knight is able to throw the football, especially downfield, yeah, Dobbs doesn't have that. That's not in his skill set. That is not something that is very much in his toolbox. And for A&M and Trevor Knight, it very much is. I don't think that Josh Dobbs is a very accurate passer. In fact, the stats show pretty much that. Trevor Knight isn't either. I mean, he's certainly not going to pick apart Alabama's defense surgically. However, because I believe A&M is going to run the ball better, because they are a read option nightmare, because I believe that Texas A&M is going to run the ball better than Tennessee did, I give them a better chance to win this game, because Tennessee had 32 rushing yards the whole game. They had 32 rushing yards total. I think they were like 14-point favorites. I think Vegas had them at minus 14. And then, of course, they wound up getting punished. Absolutely wollywomped. And one of the things that Vegas has done here is that they have just decided that since Alabama burned them before, they're not about to be burned again. Minus 18 is the line. It was like 18. I remember, I believe earlier in the week, the line opened up at 20. And then they walked it back to 17 and a half. And now it's back up to 18 again. What? I know that you think that Alabama's just going to cruise through this game, Vegas. But come on now. They're playing a team that legitimately can beat them, that historically has given them fits, and that has the quarterback to get the job done. And the reason why I think that they have the quarterback to get the job done is the running game. It starts with the running game. Like, you think that it starts with the passing game when you talk about quarterback. No. Trevor Knight's accuracy comes as a result of the very open receivers that he has, as a result of the fact that they run play action off of their read option. Their read option situation is fairly difficult to defend because of how fast Trevor Knight is. Trevor Knight is not running through tackles. But Josh Dobbs does this. It's one of my favorite things about him. Josh Dobbs runs through tackle. If you have an arm tackle, he's not getting stopped by it. He's picking up his 8 or 9 yards, right? Trevor Knight's not even getting touched on a lot of these read options, including with the game against Tennessee 2 weeks ago, where they basically ran through Derek Barnett. Derek Barnett would crash down, and Williams would take the ball. Derek Barnett would spread out wide, and nobody could get back in time to stop Trevor Knight before he picked up 11, 12 yards, just churning out first downs. Alabama is overwhelmingly more talented, I believe, than Texas A&M. And they should win the game. But the Aggies ought to cover. Really? Y'all are going minus 18 on that one? Look, I'm not the one who can make that call, but minus 18? You've got to be kidding me. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. I am just in marvel at the line. I don't know that I've ever seen anything that blatantly disrespectful in a while. It's been a few minutes, right? So last night, Thursday Night Football, which I have complained about incessantly because I think it's awful. Overall, not you've got individual games, but I think overall, Thursday Night Football has been pretty bad since they've brought it out. The games are too short a turnaround for the players. They're not very well rested. They haven't had a chance to recover. And I was looking last night, and I thought, well, the bad football might actually be a good thing for the Packers. Because the Bears, defensively, are not good, which, by the way, just feels weird to say, because I feel like my whole life the Bears have been good at defense. Since before my whole life started. Like the 80s, the Bears were good at defense. I was born in the 90s. The 90s, the Bears were good at defense for the most part. And then in the 2000s, especially the run of one Brian Urlacher for the entirety of the 2000s, really, the Bears were good at defense. The Bears went to a Super Bowl in 2006, the one they lost to Peyton Manning, purely on defense because Rex Grossman was their quarterback. It feels weird to say that the Bears are bad at defense, but regardless, the Bears are bad at defense. You time that with the short turnaround and the fact that Aaron Rodgers hasn't really gotten this going. And I'm looking at a possible breakout game for Mr. Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers then throws 3 touchdown passes against the Bears last night and 326 yards. The man finally got that mojo because something has looked really off about Aaron Rodgers this season. And I mean, he's looked straight up bad. But what I mean that something's looked sort of off is that there's no explicable reason why he has looked so bad. Really, there is no good reason why he's looked that bad. He's got good, solid receivers. He's got a good enough offensive line. Sure, the running game's not there, but for them, when has it ever been there? Right? Like we've been talking about Eddie Lacy being fat for years. Now, it feels like years. This is not the third year of Eddie Lacy is fat. Is this not the trilogy of fat Eddie Lacy? Because Eddie Lacy came into camp and everybody was talking about, oh, look, Eddie Lacy looks so good right now. Look at him. He looks like he's in the best shape of his life. He's coming to camp in shape. And then there was just a Deadspin article last week about how Eddie Lacy's fat again. And I read it and I laughed, but I just didn't think that it was show worthy. And now it is because I feel like the Packers haven't had a running game the entire time they've had to rely on Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy is a guy that just fails the eyeball test. Or he passes the eyeball test. He fails the actual test. This is the eyeball test. You watch Eddie Lacy, and he'll break off like a 30, 35-yard run, which is why he keeps tricking people into drafting him in fantasy. I would not ever draft Eddie Lacy in fantasy because he'll break off like a 35-yard run, and you're like, dang, Eddie Lacy's going bonkers. And then you look at the stat sheet at the end of the game, and oh, look, Eddie Lacy finished the game with 70 yards, 72 yards, no touchdown. He finished the game with 50 yards. But you saw the one run and thought, oh, he's getting it going this time. This is a good Eddie Lacy game. You get like 1 or 2 good Eddie Lacy games a season. Every time you hear about Eddie Lacy, it just seems like the story's about his weight. I don't know if that's just the media bringing that up, because you know how the media likes to repeat stories, right? Like, and I am part of the media, and I do like to repeat stories myself. Like the Colin Kaepernick thing won't die, and I am part of the reason of that, I feel like, because I won't let it die. I also won't let the Tim Tebow plays baseball thing die, because I just think it's ridiculous that a man who hasn't played baseball in 11 years, and the last time he played baseball, he was in high school, is suddenly competing for a major league spot. Something feels very often wrong about that, and very unfair to whoever it is that got bumped off the roster trying to make his Major League Baseball dreams come true in favor of one Tim Tebow, who, by the way, already is paid nice by the SEC Network and ESPN. Some stories just won't die. But is the Eddie Lacy story one of those stories that won't die because the media won't let it die? Or is Eddie Lacy seriously just not trying to be in shape? Because I feel like both of those things are very strong possibilities. They've never had a running game in Green Bay. This has affected Aaron Rodgers his entire time down there. And to the point where Aaron Rodgers looks so mortal right now, you got to wonder. Because I like to play this game. People like to play the game of, boy, that guy, if he had gotten a ring, he'd be one of the all-time greats. I like to play the game of, if you take away that guy's ring, how do we look at him right now? Because Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. Ever. But you take away that Super Bowl championship from Aaron Rodgers. What do you have? You take away that championship from Aaron Rodgers. Is this a guy that we are forgiving? Is this a guy that if he has a season that looks like the season that he's had, are we that forgiving of Aaron Rodgers? I don't think so. Are we judge quarterbacks very harshly on whether or not they've won rings? And guys who, I don't want to say they were average, but guys who weren't that great, we think of with a great deal of respect. Now, like guys that you know weren't great, that won rings. Trent Dilfer, for instance. And Trent Dilfer is, the ultimate game-managing quarterback that rode a really good defense to a Super Bowl and has got himself a nice ESPN contract over there as well. As a result of said Super Bowl, we wouldn't have any idea who Trent Dilfer is if Trent Dilfer didn't win a Super Bowl. You take away the Super Bowl from Trent Dilfer, and he's a nameless quarterback that floated through the NFL. Don't know anything about the guy. Aaron Rodgers is a guy that we think of as a top 5 quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, even now, he may not be having a top 5 season now, but if you look at that list overall, you still have to have Rodgers up there as top 5 in the league. Right? Like, I drafted Aaron Rodgers in fantasy because I couldn't get Cam. Because I knew Rodgers is going to get me points. He's a very well-respected quarterback. And I think part of that is the Super Bowl ring. You look at guys like Aaron Rodgers right now. Joe Flacco is a guy I feel like people consider him to be not an elite quarterback, but at least a very good quarterback. And Joe Flacco got a ring, and that's the reason why. Would you rather have Joe Flacco or Tony Romo? Healthy Tony Romo, of course, because that's the situation that we've got brewing down in Dallas with Dak Prescott and Tony Romo. People talking about Dak Prescott should be the one with the reins of this team. And I'm looking at that and going, how do you figure? I like Dak Prescott a lot. I like Dak Prescott going all the way back to Miss State. I said that he should have been drafted in the first round. It's the one thing I think I predicted correctly about the draft ever. That will toot my horn and take that victory lap till the day that I die. I thought Dak Prescott was a first-round talent, and lo and behold, he is. But Dak Prescott is managing games right now. I mean, if you watch the game, watch the Cowboys play, are they winning? Absolutely. Is it because of Dak? In some part because of Dak, because of the position that he plays, but largely it's because of Ezekiel Elliott It's that offensive line, and that defense is very opportunistic, and they bend, but they don't break. Tony Romo's the better option there. And there are a few quarterbacks in this league that have Super Bowl rings that I'm not taking before Tony Romo. Or Aaron Rodgers is not one of those guys. Rodgers, I feel like the ring validates him, but if he were anybody else, he might just be Jay Cutler. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Clutch with Keon Rose, and we'll be back with more football talk next.
Hot News Talk 1240 AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, with your chance to win $124 in cash and $124 in food every week with the Hot News Talk Radio 1, 2, 3 NASCAR contest. Hot News Talk 1240. All you have to do is guess who's going to be first, second, and third place in the upcoming NASCAR Sprint Cup race. If you guess it, you'll hear your name live Monday morning at 11:30. Then call AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio to win. Enter your guess right now at Rick Davis Golden Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. Diesel off-road technology, Saudi Daisy. For your four-wheel drive and truck needs, stuff and upholstery with premium rubber foam. Amigos Mexican Restaurant next to Staples and Hickson. Drink specials during the race. Cell Surgeon, the Broken Screen Doc. And Shooter's Supply, 4824 Hickson Pike in Hickson. Hot News Talk 1240. Enter your guesses now and listen to the race live to win $124 in cash and $124 in food from Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Hot News Talk 1240. I love NASCAR. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis has the cash when you sell gold, silver, diamonds, rings, and jewelry. Sell Rick your precious metals today and lock in your price. Hey, Rick Davis will trade your cash for shiny, brilliant, and heavy gold. Gold cheaper now by $100 an ounce. Join the Rick Davis Silver Bonanza too. Prices so low, the Lone Ranger is bound to gallop in, Kimosabi. Hey-ho, silver, away! The markets are changing, so buy now. Cash, 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 and more cash for your silver and gold, gold, gold. Rick Davis, 5301 Brainerd Road. That's 5301 Brainerd Road. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Oh, and cash, cash, cash. You know where it is. Hey-ho, silver, away! You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Trade Bank. Call now to get access to nearly 400 local businesses. Trade Bank. Call 877-2202. 877-2202. Trade Bank. You want to increase your cash flow, your competitive edge, attract new customers, and build a loyal customer base. You need Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call right now. 877-2202. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, tradebank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card with trade credits to spend any way you want with our wide variety of Trade Bank partners. For almost 30 years, Trade Bank has been your voice for small business, a member of the American Bankers Association, and in good standing with you. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation, 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
Becoming fair out there through the nighttime, but chilly. Overnight lows 40 to 43. Now for your weekend, looking great with lots of sunshine. Still a little cool. Saturday, highs near 65. And after a cold start, warmer on Sunday, highs 73 to 75. Looking for your dream home? McBriar Realty can help. With decades of experience, they get big-time results with small-town values. Licensed for the tri-state area, check McBriarRealty.com for their complete listings. And I'm Snorri Gene Quall, Chief Meteorologist at your core.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. After an agreement between attorneys, a judge has decided to dismiss charges against Bobby Stone, the husband to one of the top aides to Mayor Andy Burke. But this case isn't as straightforward as it may seem. It all began when a fight broke out between Mr. Stone and his wife over a phone, and he accused her of having an affair. And that affair, he said, was with the mayor. He dragged her allegedly by the belt to the door and told her to get out. Instead of calling 911, Ms. Stone is said to have called Police Chief Fred Fletcher on his personal line. Mayor Andy Burke has denied the allegations of an affair. Maybe reality hasn't set in yet, but Christopher Paget was all smiles in his mugshot after being captured, after they say he cut off his GPS monitoring device during his trial and ran away. He was tried in absentia and found guilty. He was captured Thursday night. And Oak Ridge National Labs, known for the Manhattan Project, is set to open up an office in the EPB building in Chattanooga. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Martin Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott powers around the outside. Michael McDowell pops the right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocked him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240. The voice of NASCAR.
This is Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. We bring you more football than anybody in the greater Chattanooga area, NFL and college, every single week. And you know what? It is baseball time. Baseball time. I know I said football talk on the other side of the break. We will get back to the football, I promise. But the Dodgers and the Cubbies play tomorrow. Saturday at 8 on FS1. And so here's the thing about the Cubs and the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw will be pitching in Game 6. And there is a sort of history, right, with Clayton Kershaw pitching in very big games, which, just as an aside, when Kershaw came to play for the Lookouts, he was doing his rehab and he came through the Lookouts and played and pitched for that one game. I totally missed that game. I meant to go to that game and I could not make it there. And I'm so mad that that didn't happen. Clayton Kershaw is my favorite pitcher in baseball. And Clayton Kershaw is going to be the starter for Game 6. And he has a history of pitching in big games and melting down and all of these things. And I think that that's not necessarily true. Like, if you look at Clayton Kershaw's numbers in the postseason, that's actually not true, that he doesn't pitch well in big games. And I was talking about Tony Romo before, and the reason why that came up is because it's a similar effect that you have in your memories of these guys not coming through in big moments. And so your brain thinks, oh, they never come through in big moments, right? Like, just never. And Romo, known for throwing that back-breaking interception. I'm going to choose a better choice of words there, no pun intended. But throwing that horrible interception, the one that kills you, at all the wrong times, late in games. But yet, Tony Romo's probably more likely the guy you would want in a comeback situation for you, given that during the time that Tony Romo's been a starter, nobody's got more comeback victories than him. Come from behind victories, they're him. That's what he does. And the same thing with Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw has been, and it has not really been up for debate, the best pitcher in baseball for like the last 4 years. There isn't anybody that you would want in a high-pressure situation than him. But if the Dodgers don't win 6 and 7, they gone. And nothing says World Series quite like the Cubs and the Indians. The Cubs and the Indians, which two teams historically known for just how it is that they lose, but more so the Cubs, because, and this is my favorite stat, and I run it out every fall, and this is why I root against the Cubs, and I will continue to root against the Cubs. The Cubs have not won a championship since the Ottoman Empire existed. The Ottoman Empire that you learned about in school, in your history book, maybe, if you had a good history teacher. The Ottoman Empire still existed, albeit that they were at the end. They were about to die. But they still existed the last time the Cubbies won a World Series. Now, to me, that stat is amazing and incredible, and it's amazing and incredible enough for me to never root for the Cubs. Now, I like Joe Madden, but the Cubs and the Indians facing off in the ALCS. And look, man, or possibly face it off in the World Series, rather. And look, nothing would tickle me more than to see the Cubs get all the way there and then lose. I'm not saying that I hate them. I'm saying I like that fact. It's an unusual way to go about that particular thing. I think the Cubs are good. I think Madden is that great of a manager. I really like this team, but I really like that fact. That fact is amazing. The Ottoman Empire still existed the last time they won a World Series. When has that not ever been cooler to say? That is the coolest thing that you can say. That's my party joke, albeit that it has to be a highly specific party because young people don't really gather together and talk about baseball anymore. Some of them do, though, but like most of them don't. Which actually is an interesting segue over to my next point, because baseball, as I said earlier in the week, wishes it has the problem that the NFL now has, which is that people, especially young people, like the celebration. They like the dancing. They like it when athletes show emotion. For me, that's what I watch sports for. I am watching human beings play a sport. If I wanted to see robots play a sport, I'd watch that Hugh Jackman Rock'em Sock'em Robot movie. Okay? That's the reason why football's still here. That's the reason why boxing is still here. The sports are violent, but you can't exchange the people from it. The people bring you back. Floyd Mayweather brings you back. When Manny Pacquiao was good, he brought you back. Right? Gennady Golovkin will bring you back. You've got guys that'll bring you back. Personalities. The NFL is trying to do away with personalities. And that's the strangest thing ever. Right? And you just and baseball wishes it had that problem. The NFL is just trying to legislate away fun from the league. And it's not that they're trying to legislate away fun necessarily, because Roger Goodell has said everything about sportsmanlike conduct and taunting. And I want this game to be a good game, a clean game, games that children can watch. And certainly if that is the reason why you're throwing all of these flags, then go on right ahead. But a lot of great touchdown celebrations and winning celebrations, all of those things are memorable parts of teams' history and lore. Right? We like smack talk. We like trash talkers. It's one of the things that we admire about Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. These guys knew how to dish it out. When I'm watching a bunch of grown men play a sport, honestly, taunting kind of has to be involved a little bit. Now, you've got to stop some taunting. You can't let all the taunting happen, because that's how you lose control of a football game as a referee. You just let stuff happen, and then a fight breaks out. You warn guys. You stop guys. But you throw a flag for every single celebration, it is too much. I mean, you've got bow and arrow celebrations being shot down. And you're going, if a little kid watched that, what thing is unsportsmanlike about that? He didn't do something to the guy. He didn't get in his face. He didn't touch him. He didn't shove him. He didn't let him have it. Right? Odell Beckham Jr.'s series of increasingly bizarre celebrations with the kicker net. I have a problem with that because Odell Beckham Jr. wants to be a real-life cartoon character. And again, if he wanted to be a real-life cartoon character, that is fine, but he should have just told us that in the first place. Like, this is going to a different level, and I don't think anybody was prepared. If he wants to be a cartoon character, he is very much allowed to do that, but then he has to let us know beforehand that he wants to be a cartoon character. But he's allowed to do that, and I think that that's fine, and I like that for the game. It's an expression of his personality that Odell Beckham Jr. is a weird dude. So I want to see him do weird stuff. That's why I watch him play. I got no other reason to watch the Giants. Are you serious? Eli Manning's been horrible this year. There are just some teams. Like, I want to see what Antonio Brown's going to do. You could argue that maybe him and the pelvic thrusts in the end zone, the twerking, it's weird. Sure. It's a little odd. just a little bit. You could argue that. And if you're thinking, okay, that's possibly too sexual for children to see, that I get. The not exposing children to things that they're not going to understand, and Antonio Brown pelvic thrusting in the end zone and having little Tommy turn to his mom and dad and go, "Mom and Dad, what is he doing?" And then mom and dad are trying to find an explanation for what it is that Antonio Brown is doing with his body. Look, if you want to avoid that conversation, I get that. But Odell Beckham Jr. pretending to do the triple jump, or Josh Norman riding the bucking Bronco back when he was a Panther and got fined for that Jameis Winston interception that he returned for a touchdown. That stuff, I don't like that stuff. That's the personality of the guy. And you're trying to clean up a game that's not dirty. You're trying to stretch the money. And it's about the money. It's the NFL. It's always about the money. Okay? Just in case you thought that the NFL actually cared about breast cancer awareness. They do not. It is about the money. They get to sell the pink jerseys, hats, shoes, wristbands, all of it. And it makes them a ton of cash. With this, your fans that are watching the game and spending money on what it is that your advertisers do, those are the people that do not like dancing. Because I am 26 years old, and I like to see that stuff. And I watch the games with my friends, and we like to see that stuff. It's fun and hilarious, and it makes the game better because human beings are playing the game. And it's not just, oh, you're a young person, so this is the kind of stuff you like. Why don't you just pay attention to the game and watch it? First off, I do pay attention to the game and watch it. I even take notes. But also, guys have been celebrating since, the early days of NFL films were catching it. All right? And you can go to Deion Sanders, who was not that long ago, who really was one of the guys that made this touchdown celebration thing, celebrating before he got to the end zone because he's primetime, and he can do that. You're Michael Irvin. You think that guy wasn't showboating? Like, you'd flag Deion Sanders and Michael Irvin if they played the game today. Which is crazy. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. Making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. Let me just get into, really quickly, the Mocs playing VMI, and then I will talk about LSU playing this weekend because LSU finally has a game. They've been hot since they beat Auburn, or since they lost to Auburn and fired Les Miles. But they finally have a game. So we'll get into that in just a second. But the Mocs play VMI tomorrow. And they are 6-1 this season. They had an opportunity to make the great start. I was really rooting for it, looking forward to it. But look, against VMI is an opportunity. Get yourself back on schedule. You had your letdown game finally. Just get it out of your system. It's better to get it out of your system early. And against the Citadel, that's a tough team. That's a really tough team to beat. That triple option is confusing as all get out. I'm not saying it's impossible to defend, but it's really hard to defend. I'm looking at that thing and going, man, I haven't seen a triple option team live. And I feel like after watching some of the highlights of that game, I have to find a way to make that happen. Like, if UTC ever plays the Citadel again, I got to get down there and see that. Because the triple option is vicious. They got beaten by the Citadel last week, and turning things around against VMI, 3-3 on the season, 1-2 in conference play. This really is a game that the Mocs ought to win. It really ought not to be close. And I feel like this is a team that knows how to handle business very well. And they've proven it throughout this season. Okay, and this senior class has 33 victories. If they are able to win, they will be the most successful senior class in the history of Chattanooga Mocs football, which is a testament to the great job that Coach Russ Huseman has done, right? Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Catch all of our shows live with video on YouTube and, of course, with the TuneIn Radio app. Search the TuneIn Radio app in the App Store. Whichever one you use, search Hot News Talk Radio in the app. Give us a favorite and press play. That's Hot News Talk Radio in the TuneIn Radio app. Listen like you mean it. So Ole Miss and LSU play each other, and we have some storylines for this game, right? Because Ole Miss is in a whole heap of trouble. They started off the season as a possible favorite, and they are a favorite to win this game, by the way. And then they had some things fall to the wayside for them. They ended up being 3-3 this season, losing some games that they really ought to have won. Offensively, they're a juggernaut. Defensively, they're not. They are the reverse Tennessee. They play half a football game, but they play the first half of that football game. That is, I mean, it's fairly ridiculous, if I have to be completely honest with you. So you've got Ole Miss playing LSU, who is 4-2. And if you had to guess which two teams would be 4-2 the way that they started this season, and which of these two teams would be 3-3, I imagine that kind of thing would be reversed. But here's the deal. I imagine these two things would be reversed, but here's the deal. LSU has come alive offensively. And I don't mean kind of alive, I mean really alive. But the problem is we don't know if it's one of those good alives or fake alives. Because when coaches get fired, there is a little bit of a boost from firing the coach and replacing him with some level of assistant. You see it happen all the time, and not just college, but in the NFL as well. You saw a boost in play last year when Mike Mularkey got promoted, the head coach of the Titans. So it's something that does happen. But the issue is here that LSU has played since then Missouri, Southern Miss. I mean, how good are the Tigers? They haven't played anybody since their loss to Auburn. And I don't know if this is a fake thing or something that's real or legitimate. We will find out against Ole Miss on some level. Because you've got guys already being amazing at running back in the stead of Leonard Fournette. And then you've got Leonard Fournette who's just returning. Leonard Fournette who is returning. And Leonard Fournette who is returning against an Ole Miss defense that cannot stop the run. They don't know how to do it. They give up. They have some of the highest totals of yards given up to running backs in college football. The Ole Miss, they can't run. They can't stop the run. And even though Vegas favors them in this game, 7.5 points, I can't help but think that that's some kind of trap. There's just some things I just don't implicitly trust with Vegas. Because I'm looking at this game and going, how on earth LSU is outrushing this season Ole Miss 228 to 156 without Fournette. I mean, we've been waiting all season for Leonard Fournette to come back and hopefully come back in a situation where he looks like the best running back in college football again. Because defensively, Ole Miss, they are ranked against the run 104th. Egads, 104th. Which isn't to say that this isn't going to be a shootout of a game. This isn't just going to be LSU rolling up and running the ball down their throats. Ole Miss can still pass the ball. Chad Kelly gets denied by adult film stars, but he does not get it denied from the end zone when he's passing the ball through the air. And he's going up against LSU's defense, which is ranked 44th against the pass. So it's a defense that can get points scored on. It's just not as bad as Ole Miss's rushing defense. I mean, that is a horrible defense. I don't know if I have ever seen anything quite like that. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Clutch with Keon Rose. I don't know if I can really rely on Ole Miss to cover, much less win the game. I just don't think that they can. Right? And then Arkansas and Auburn. That's a sneaky good game. 10.5 points, what Auburn is favored by. Auburn is another one of those teams that I look at and go, okay, but are y'all for real, though? Because ever since they beat LSU, they, too, have been something on a hot streak. And I don't know if this is a real thing or not, because they have not played anybody since they have played LSU. They have played Louisiana, Monroe, and I believe Lafayette. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. So why should I believe in Auburn? It is they're a very volatile situation. And again, I'm not a betting man, but this situation does not bode well for Auburn. And I know Auburn is favored. I get it. And maybe I'm just a contrarian. In fact, not maybe. I am just a contrarian. But when I look at how well Arkansas is able to pass the ball, what they were able to do against a school like Alabama, I find it kind of hard to believe a little bit of the disrespect that they're getting here. Arkansas passing the ball, they've been a whole lot better at passing the ball this season than basically any other season, and their offense is kind of middling, right? They're just average, and their defense too. They're kind of average everywhere. The difference being is that passing the ball, Auburn is horrible. Rushing the ball, they've been really good, but overall, their offense has got weak points. They stall out very easily predictable. You know they want to run. But it's just weird to see a situation where Arkansas and Auburn match up. Arkansas is the better passing team, and Auburn's the better rushing team. I would never have guessed that if these two teams had matched up. In a million years would be the case. But Austin Allen's been really good at quarterback for Arkansas. So it's kind of hard to look at that and go, yeah, I could see that. I just didn't realize that they were having this much trouble running the ball until, you pull up the stats and you look at it and they're ranked 59th in the country. Rushing. And when they've made their bread and butter, and Brett Bielema has made their bread and butter with them rushing the football forever. But I still think they're able to win this game. I feel like they're a more complete team than Auburn is. And the victories, well, not just the victories, the games that they've played have been of higher quality than what Auburn's played. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch. I'll see you in 72 hours, but don't you go anywhere. Alex Jones is next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
At Eye Your Optical, it's a well-known fact. When you buy one pair of glasses, you get a second pair absolutely free. But did you know Eye Your Optical has the largest eyeglass selection in the area, with top-name brands and styles in the latest trends? Schedule your appointment with one of the doctors today for a comprehensive eye exam. And remember, when you buy one pair of glasses, you get a second pair absolutely free. Visit EyeYourOptical.com for a location near you.
Listen up, y'all. Ben Phillips, Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. I'm in the business of saving people money. And if you want to save money, pick that cell phone up right now, 805-9100. I received a call that I won't forget. The guy is a Chattanooga police officer who served our great country in the Air Force. A true American hero. Our hero is renting, which costs too much for a space too small. We helped him achieve the American dream. And the best part is this. He purchased a $180,000 home with zero down. His payment is $200 less than what his rent was. And now he has a safe place with more space to raise his family. It's easy, and you can do it too. It just takes 10 minutes and one phone call. 805-9100.
Turn a house into a
We've got a table here at Delia's, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy near the Thrasher Light. There's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nacho chips made fresh every day in the kitchen. Delia's, open every day except the Lord's Day. Treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. 521-7145.
I'm Larry Daniels from Daniels Insurance, and on the average, our customers save $400 a year. We offer retirement vehicles and annuities in addition to other investment products that help you protect your family. Call 423-332-4774.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
When you crack your screen, mess up your charge port, you get soaked in a rainstorm, what do? Save money, save big, fix it, get surgery. There's a cell phone hospital near you. It's the Cell Surgeon. Adam Disbro, the man in white, he replaces your screen, fixes your buttons, gives you back Twitter, Facebook, your online universe. Walk-in patients go to Cell Surgeon in Ottawa. Cell Surgeon is new in Ottawa, next to Zaxby's. Other docs in the Cell
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Saudi Daisy.
A large-scale cyber attack disrupts the internet.
It doesn't look like the kid in a basement with a laptop. It looks more sophisticated than that.
If Hillary Clinton wins, a poll finds half of Republicans would not accept the result.
That's unprecedented that we're not accepting the process of our election.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Bill Whitney. If you've had trouble using Twitter, watching Netflix, or contacting Visa today, you can blame a cyber attack that's affected dozens of websites. Correspondent Chip Reed talked to an expert.
This is definitely going to get worse as we go on.
Dan Ackerman, who writes about the internet for CNET, a division of CBS, says they're known as denial of service attacks.
And that is when a lot of computers around the world who had been previously hijacked start sending out dummy data to a particular target, and that blocks that target from being able to do its job and show you the websites that you want to see.
One big question, who is doing it?
Brant Townsend, a CBS News Homeland Security consultant, says the attack is too sophisticated for the typical hacker.
Is this sort of a brushback pitch from the Russians, sending us a message that we should be pretty careful about engaging in this sort of cyber activity with them because they are very capable?
The FBI is investigating. And saying the election is rigged against him, many Republicans believe that. A Reuters Ipsos poll finds only half of all Republicans would accept Hillary Clinton if she wins, and 70% would blame that result on cheating. Professor Lana Atkinson is an election expert at the University of New Mexico.
Survey is a reflection of what the masses are hearing and what they're taking in about things. That is what we heard on Wednesday night, that Mr. Trump is waiting to decide how he feels like the election afterwards. And that's unprecedented.
Trump said it again today.
The whole deal is rigged.
At a rally in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, he singled out the media.
I'm getting piled on by these dishonest people like nobody ever.
Trump said he expects to win if his supporters turn out. Hillary Clinton had a rally in Cleveland this afternoon.
He refused to say that he would respect the results of this election. Now, make no mistake, by doing that, he is threatening our democracy.
This is Pam Coulter. U.S. officials believe Russia hacked Democratic sources in order to meddle in the November election. So there's suspicion about Moscow's bid to send observers to some state polling places. White House spokesman Josh Earnest said Russia rejected participation in an organization that routinely does that.
You'd have to ask them why they didn't take advantage of that opportunity if they were so interested in understanding more about the conduct of a free and fair election, a concept that may not be as familiar to those Russian officials.
Pam Coulter, CBS News, the White House.
The Dow fell 16 points today, finishing the week at 18,145. The NASDAQ 15 points higher.
See something, smell something, do something. When your basement or crawl space smells, don't ignore it. Odors, mold, and harmful pollutants come from too much moisture and not enough air circulation, making your home unhealthy. Do something. Call Wave Home Solutions today at 1-888-964-9283 or go to dryhousenow.com. Experts recommend ventilation instead of dehumidifiers to reduce moisture and expel harmful gases and pollutants. Wave moisture control units continuously dry out your home, transforming it into a fresher, healthier environment year-round. Wave units cost only pennies a day to operate, and there are no buckets to empty. Call Wave today at 1-888-964-9283 or go to dryhousenow.com. That's dryhousenow.com or call 1-888-964-9283.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
As Iraqi forces fight to drive ISIS fighters from the northern city of Mosul, ISIS staged an attack today on Kirkuk, 100 miles away. Correspondent Holly Williams was right there.
I am in the center of Kirkuk with a Kurdish SWAT team, and they are right beside a building that is being occupied by, they say, 6 to 8 ISIS fighters as they are shooting it out.
A Turkish TV reporter was killed by a sniper. At least 14 people died in the fighting. And north of Kirkuk, 3 suicide bombers killed 13 workers at a power plant before blowing themselves up. Vice President Joe Biden, campaigning for Hillary Clinton in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania today, said Donald Trump made a disgusting assertion when he boasted of being able to grope women because he's a star. Biden called it a textbook definition of sexual assault.
The press always asks me, don't I wish I were debating him? No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish.
You're listening to the CBS World News Roundup.
I'm finding just the right place to live can be a daunting task. Stop your search. Here's what advertisers are saying about AM 1240. HotNewsTalkRadio.com.
Radio station, they really care. They're always calling me probably once a week, checking on me, seeing how things going.